ever seen a fossil? A fossil is the remains or imprint of a plant or animal from a previous time. Now, many of the very old fossils that we find show us plants or animals that were alive long ago and now they are extinct. That does it mean when an animal or a plant is extinct? Well, extinct means that the species has no living members on Earth. It's extinct. There are no more living members. Now, a good example of an animal that's extinct is the dinosaur. We know that dinosaurs were alive on Earth once because we've been able to find evidence of their bones, but there are no dinosaurs living on the Earth at this time. Dinosaurs are an example of an animal that is extinct. The main way that can that we can study things that lived long ago and that are now extinct is by looking at fossils. Today we're going to talk about plants from Earth's past. But first, let's look at how some fossils are formed. Some fossils were made from plants that died and were pressed into the mud. A long time ago, there were plants that died and were pressed into the mud, and they made an imprint in the mud. Over time, the plant rotted away, but the mud kept the shape of the plant. And then, over a really long time, the mud changed into stone. It hardened into stone. So many years later, when the stone cracks open, we see the imprint of a plant that lived very long ago. It helps us to learn about plants that lived that long ago on Earth. Now, now another kind of fossil is petrified wood. Have you ever seen petrified wood? It looks a lot like wood. It has the same shape as wood. It has the same markings as wood. But but if you feel it, but you feel it if you hold it and knock on it, you can tell it's not wood, it's actually stone. How is petrified wood made? Well, petrified wood is made when rock replaces that parts that make up a plant. One way that petrified wood can be formed is when a piece of wood gets buried in the mud and over time minerals replace the parts that make up the wood. Well, water breaks down the wood and carries it away. Over a long time, what we're left with is a piece of stone that has the same markings, the same shape as the wood that was originally buried, but now it's made out of stone. Minerals, not wood. That's another type of fossil. By studying fossils, scientists have learned that some of the oldest plants that lived banana is made. That's another type of fossil. By studying fossils, scientists have learned that some of the oldest plants have lived on the earth are similar to today's ferns and horsetails. They didn't have flowers and they didn't have cones. They were similar to ferns. Remember, ferns reproduce using spores, so they are similar to ferns and horsetails. It's kind of interesting to think about. Then later, as the earth changed, so did the plants appeared that have had cones, and then plants appeared that had flowers. Many of the first plants that were alive on the earth are now extinct today, so the only way we can really learn about them is by fossils and ways that they were preserved over the many years. Now one type of flower called the magnolia was actually alive on the earth for a very long time. By studying fossils, scientists have learned that magnolias have lived on earth for a very long time. These flower plants were actually alive at the same time dinosaurs were. Scientists have been able to find fossils that show them that some of the magnolia plants that still live on Earth today were very similar to the ones that lived years and years ago. At the same time as the dinosaurs, by studying fossils, we can learn a lot of interesting things about plants. Ferns were one of the first plants on Earth. How do ferns reproduce? B. Ferns reproduce using spores on their leaves. Petrified wood is wood that has been turned to stone. What is true of petrified wood? B. Petrified wood has markings that look similar to the or, orig, original wood. What do these fossils show us? See the shape of plants that lived a long time ago. Horsetails were one of the first plants on Earth. What is true about horsetails? See, they don't have flowers or cones. What helps us learn about plants and animals that lived long before there were humans on Earth? Be fossils.